Hello everyone, welcome to Base Java. This is a series of tutorials which is for a complete beginner. So if you have no experience in programming or if you have zero experience in Java programming language, I think this series will be right for you. So in this part 1, I will be covering what is Java, difference between JDK, JRE and JVM. We will write the first Java program and we will also discuss the features of Java programming language. So you might ask me why we need to learn Java. Because Java is still among the most popular and most used programming languages because of its scalability and a large open source community for a long time. It is still third most language on GitHub and fifth most popular language according to the Stack Overflow 2019 survey. So it has a long way to go. Even today, many large companies use Java on their backend. So what is Java? Java is a general purpose programming language that is class-based and object-oriented and designed to have few implementation dependencies as possible. It is intended to let application developers write once and run anywhere, which means you can write Java code on your Mac machine and build the jar and run it on any other machine, like you can run it on Windows machine or a Linux machine or vice versa. We will look into this deeper in the later tutorials in this series. Let's go to the history of Java. We will spend as much little time as possible in this. So Java was developed by Sun Microsystems and James Gosling is known as the father of Java. The first version of Java Development Kit, which we call JDK, was first released in 1995, and the latest version at the time of the recording is Java 13, released on September 2019. Before going further, I would like you to know the basic differences between JDK, JRE, and JVM. I've seen many developers getting confused between these three. So, JDK, which is Java Development Kit, is the one you need to build applications in Java. It contains everything that is required to build and run Java applications. As shown in this image, JDK is a combination of Java runtime environment and development tools. The development tools includes the Java C, which is the compiler which compiles the Java code you have written, and Java is the interpreter or loader which interprets the compiled Java code, and Java doc is the one which helps you generate the documentation for the code you have written, and the jar is an archiver where you can archive your code into a single jar. As I was talking earlier, it's write once, run anywhere. So you will be running this jar on a different machine other than the one you built if you wanted. So next is JRE. JRE is the Java runtime environment. JRE contains everything to run Java application. It contains supporting code libraries required to develop Java applications. And JRE is a combination of JVM, which is Java Virtual Machine, and all these supporting libraries. And finally, JVM, Java Virtual Machine, is a machine specific and can only read bytecode that has been generated using Java compiler. So once the Java compiler compiles the code to bytecode, JVM is the one which reads it and runs on that machine. You might have heard that Java is portable. This is what it meant. The compiled bytecode can be run on any machine with the help of JVM. You might have seen this image saying Java is being run on 3 billion devices. It actually means the JVM is running on all these machines, not actually JDK or JRE. So if you develop an application using Java, you need a JVM to run that application on any given machine. Nowadays, it's all web, but back in the day, you might have seen even today a lot of Windows applications which are built in Java. So if you want to have your application run in your machine, you need to have JVM installed. That's the reason 3 billion devices run Java even today. It might be more. Oracle never changed this image, so I still believe it's 3 billion devices. Okay, now enough of talking. Let's write our first Java program. Before writing your first Java program, we need to download the Java from Oracle website. Here is the website. You should go there and try to download the JDK, which will give you multiple options. You should accept the license and choose your respective platform and download it. So once you install Java on your machine, to check if your Java is properly installed, just go back to your terminal or command prompt in Windows and type java dash version, and it should be able to see. I am running Java 12.0 version, so you should be running your latest version or whatever version you downloaded. I will create a file called first Java program.java. So every Java file should have an extension .java. The thumb rule of Java is whatever the file name is, the class name needs to be the same, so that when JVM is trying to run, it looks for the same patterns. So let's write our program. As I mentioned, Java is class based and object oriented. So we will define the class first Java program. Inside the class, we will have the main method. We will see what this main method does. And we will just print the famous hello world. That's it. This is our first Java program class. Now let me save it and run it. As I said, JDK contains DevTools, JavaC and Java. JavaC is the compiler, so we will use JavaC to compile our first Java program. Now it's compiled, and when it compiles, it creates a .class file. Now we need to run the .class file using the Java command to interpret what's in there and give us the result. There you go. It returned hello world, what we expected and what we wrote inside the main class. Now let's go back to the first Java program that we have written and analyze what are all those keywords that we used in there. So this is our first Java program, right? So in order to define a file as a Java class, there are different types of Java files. One is the interface, the other is Java class. These are mainly used two different .java files. So in order to define the class, we will have the class keyword used so that it says, hey, this is the class first Java program, and we will have everything that are respective with the class inside the class. Now we'll see. So what are these? The second line, which says public static void main, is called a method. So you might be asking, what is a method? A method is a collection of statements that are grouped together to perform an operation. As I was talking earlier, add is actually a method. So what add does? It does the operation of two numbers, or how many numbers that you pass in. So you will write a method add, and it will do multiple operations inside that method. So what is public? Public is called an access modifier. And don't worry about it. We will go deep into what are these access modifiers and all these keywords later. I just want to give an overview of this. Public is an access modifier which defines who can access this method. So when you mention the method as public, anybody who is having instantiating the object of this class can use that method. What is static? Static is the keyword that identifies the class related thing. That means if you want to access this method, you can only access using the class and not through the object. And what is void? Void is called a return type. That means if you are expecting something from the method, you will have a return type. Let's say in the addition method, we will expect the sum of two integers as a return type. That means we are expecting an integer as a return type. So we will, but in this case, we are not expecting anything from this main method. So we will have the return type as void. And what is main? Main is the name of the method. The method name, this is basically being searched by JVM as a starting point for an application. So there won't be any Java application without having a main method. And we will talk more about it, like can we at all any Java application without a main method, and we will look into that later. So the arguments inside that are string arguments. It is the parameter to the main method. So you can pass this parameter using your command line or during the runtime. The third line is system.out.println of hello world, which actually you are telling to print it on the console. That's it. You wrote your first Java program, and we will be looking into the features of Java. There are many features in Java which plays an important role in the popularity of the language. These are the features in Java that makes Java so powerful and popular. Those are object-oriented, simple, platform-independent, secure, portable, robust, multi-threaded, high-performance, distributed, interpreted, and dynamic. We will look into what each of these features are. So Java is object-oriented. As we talked, Java is class-based and object-oriented. Everything in Java is object-oriented. We organize our software as a combination of different types of objects that incorporates both data and behavior. We have written a simple class in our previous video where you define the class which prints a hello world. So you can make the class as an object, and you can call that object, instantiate that object from a different class and make the hello world print. We will look into more example later, but that's what object-oriented means. And Java is simple. The syntax of Java is very simple and easy to learn. And basically the syntax is based on C++, but it removed many of the complicated and unnecessary stuff. The third feature is platform independent. We have been talking about this a lot. Java is portable, platform independent, and all that stuff. What this means is you write the Java code once and run it anywhere. So if you see in the previous example, when we wrote the hello world example and did the Java C my first program.java, it created a .class file. That's when we ran with the Java. So that .class file can be executed on any machine with the respect to JVMs. So you have the .class file and it can run on Mac OS or Windows or Linux machine after installing the respective JVM of those platforms. So it is platform independent and it is secured. Java is also best known for its security. You can actually build virus-free software. It doesn't have pointers like in C++, which makes this so much possible. And the other feature of Java is it runs inside a virtual machine, unlike CSS runs on just the OS. So you will have your OS where C++ runs, and you will have a JVM installed on top of your OS. The Java applications runs inside the JVM. So it makes it so secured. And as we talked earlier, it's portable. That means you can carry Java bytecode to any environment or platform and it doesn't need any other implementation. You can say it's a synonym of the platform independency. And it is robust. The definition of robust is basically it's strong. What makes Java programming language robust is, or strong, is it uses strong memory management and lack of pointers, which avoids a lot of security problems. And it has the exception handling and type checking mechanisms, which can help you eradicate the error-prone situations. And it also emphasizes on the compile time and runtime error checks, which reduces the error-prone situations. So we will talk more about compile time and runtime error checks later, but to give you an idea, compile time error checks are basically the syntax errors and all those. When you run the javac command, it builds the .class files. So when you run that command, that is during the compile time. And when you actually run the .class file, that's the runtime Java command, that's the runtime, and it checks for errors during that time as well, which reduces all these error-prone situations. But we will look into this exception handling and error handling in the later videos. Java is multi-threaded. That means you can perform multiple operations at the same time simultaneously, which makes the overall flow faster. Let's say you have two different databases. Your operation requires fetching data from two different databases and combining them. So you don't have to wait to go and fetch one database, come back and go and fetch the other database and then combine. You can simultaneously fetch data from two different databases and combine it later. So this fetching of data from each database will be run on different threads and they can combine each other. So as shown in the figure, the process can be divided into multiple threads and each thread will be run simultaneously. Java is very high performance. It is faster than most of the interpreted languages as the bytecode that generates is very close to the native language. And Java also uses just-in-time compilation, which enables the high performance. So you might ask, like, what is just-in-time compilation? It is a way of executing the computer code that involves the compilation during the runtime rather than the prior execution. So Java also facilitates distributed building up distributed systems. That means you can build Java applications, multiple Java applications, and call each other's by instantiating their objects or those classes, and these can be distributed on different places. The other feature of Java is it's dynamic. It supports dynamic loading of the classes because it holds excessive amount of runtime information that can be used to access data during the runtime. So it's pretty dynamic. So you don't have to create all the objects that you need during the start of the application, but instead you can create the object of the class you want to use during the runtime so that it's dynamic. So these are the features of Java. So in this tutorial, we learned what is Java, the history of Java, difference between JDK, JVM, and JRE, and we wrote our first program, and we also looked into different features of Java which make it so popular. So in the next video, we will be writing real code. We will be learning about the variables, keywords, control statements, and all that stuff, and we will write some simple programs to get you started in the next video in this series. Thank you.